Hey, it's me, Al. Deb's at work at the moment, so I'm sorry, you're just going to be listening to me on this video, I think. Now, I've just got back from Australia, and for those of you that don't know, I had to go to Australia because we had some damage happen to our house on the Gold Coast. So I spent 2 weeks on the Gold Coast organising the repairs for that, and I then went to visit my parents in Townsville before I drove to Cairns. Well, they drove me to Cairns, that's what good parents they are. They drove me to Cairns so I could fly back to Bali. My experience of going back to Australia and what I noticed that's different in Australia to Bali. Now, of course, this is my perspective and I'm probably wrong with a lot of it, and a lot of you probably have a different perspective than me, but these are just things that I noticed. Things are different, but I'm seeing them different now that I've been living in Bali for a year. So I'm going to try and share those experiences with you now. Now, I have this perspective that things in Australia are really expensive and people are struggling. People are struggling to get their groceries, pay their bills, rent, oh my God. That's my perception of what it's like in Australia. But what happened was, I got to the airport here in Denpasar and I got a late flight out to Brisbane. And I got on the flight and all of a sudden I started to think to myself, maybe I am wrong. So, because what I saw was, the flight was full of young families. And I know they were families because there were kids next to me screaming and kids kicking my seat behind me. But the parents of these kids, most of them had arms and legs covered in cling wrap. Now, I know getting tattoos in Bali isn't as cheap as it used to be. It's nearly as expensive as in Australia. But these parents, they were covered in tattoos. They got their whole arms done and their whole legs done, husbands and wives. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I am wrong. Maybe things aren't as tough in Australia as I'm led to believe. And then I thought about it, maybe, hang on, maybe they're all tradesmen. They're the wealthiest people in Australia at the moment, tradesmen, at the prices they charge. Now, I figured that maybe it's because they don't have a mortgage. It's too expensive to get a mortgage in Australia. So they're living in the moment and they're getting tattoos instead of paying a mortgage. Good luck to them. I hope that is the case. But yeah, I just don't know how it is in Australia at the moment for some people to be able to afford full sleeves and full leg coverings of tattoos. Yeah, mind-boggling. Anyway, so I got to Brisbane and my son picked me up in Brisbane. Now this is at 12:30 at night, and he picked me up in Brisbane to drive me back to the Gold Coast. And this is the first experience I had. Now remember, I've been living in Bali now for 12 months. So this is my first time back to Australia. And we're heading down the freeway, which normally during the daytime, it's bumper to bumper non-stop. But luckily it was 12:30 at night. But he's doing 100, 110, doing the speed limit going down the freeway. And I'm holding on for dear life because I'm not used to doing those speeds. And it was like a gobsmack. It's like, Jesus Christ, I'm not used to this. And yeah, and I thought, you know, normally the most speed I do in Bali is 50 Ks, and that's only a short stint before you have to stop again. Did I like it? I didn't like the speed, but I did like that I was getting somewhere quicker, because in Bali, even though we're in Sanur, Kuta's about 12 Ks away, it feels like it's on the other side of the earth. The dark side's way, way over there, and it's only 12 Ks. Your perception of distance and time and speed changes in Bali. So later on, I was driving the car myself. I'd borrow his car and I'd go down and do the things I had to do. And what I noticed then was the silence and the solitude of just being in a car by myself, having no noises around me like you do in Bali. In Bali, you got bikes zooming past you, people bipping to let you know they're going to go past. In Australia, you don't have that. It's a lot more silent in the car. And because the roads are a lot more organised and ordered, I got that feeling of I could relax a lot more than I do in Bali. I do love driving around in Bali and riding around in Bali. I find it really exciting, but there definitely is that difference when you go home that everything's a lot more relaxed on the road. I suppose in Bali, if you upset someone, they just smile at you and wave and say, go ahead. In Australia, it might be a bit different. They might give you the finger and the F off and stuff, but it's definitely a lot more peaceful on Australian roads. Now, I don't have to tell you how much difference the price is over there compared to here, because everyone knows it's cheaper in Bali. Restaurants, big difference. The times I went out in Australia, oh my God, I couldn't believe the prices you pay in Australia now for food. I talked to Deb about it and she said, oh yeah, yes, that's what you'd expect to pay, but no, why should I expect to be paying like $70 for two people, $80 for two people to eat in a restaurant? And the food's just shoved on your table without a smile. If I was to come back to Australia to live, I would not be dining out. Where in Bali, I can dine out every night. That is a difference, it is a major difference, because that's something you do every day in your life is eat, and I don't like the thought of going home and not being able to access restaurants. That's life, I have to get a job I suppose. Groceries are a lot higher, as you know, but the difference is, even in Bali, if you buy imported stuff, it is going to be expensive. It's something getting up close to the Australian prices as well. But I don't buy as much food in Bali, grocery-wise, as I would in Australia. In Australia, I'll get a trolley full. Here I get a little bag full. Now, I'm trying not to complain too much about Australia. I'm trying to get a balance in this, but it's very hard when life in Bali is pretty good. So I'm going to keep going. If I'm bagging out Australia too much, I apologise. I'm just trying to tell the reality of life of Bali. I want to point out the value of spending. I am more focused in Bali on what I am spending than when I'm in Australia. I think it's a case of, in Australia, it's just want. And in Bali, it's more what I need. You're more focused on minimalism in Bali, and you're spending less. And maybe part of that is because Balinese money, the rupiah, has many zeros after it. There's 4 more zeros than there is in Australia on a price. So maybe mentally you're thinking you're spending more than you actually are. And after a year, I still get confused sometimes about how much I'm spending, but I try to spend less while I'm here. So I'm getting my house repaired, and I've had to make doctor's appointments in Australia, and I've went to do hearing stuff and all the things I have to do, being nearly 60 years old. So I've noticed a few things that are different in the way of things are very organised in Australia. As you know, if you want to go to the doctors, you make an appointment, you turn up on time. That's funny, I'm wrong. Doctors are never on time in Australia. And I have noticed that here. If you go to a doctor's here, you're there straight away, you're seeing the doctor. If you go to the hospital, they're sorting you out straight away. In Australia, it's like 6 months to get into a hospital if you're lucky, and a couple of weeks to get in to see your doctor. So maybe I'm wrong. So let's forget about the medical side, because I'm a bit wrong with that, because Bali's way better in time-wise. But a lot of things in Australia are really structured. You know something's going to happen when it's going to happen, but the time frame, the punctuality, I'd say, the time frame of when it happens is a lot different than Bali. If I want to make an appointment in Australia, I've got to make an appointment for a week or two later. For example, getting your car fixed, getting in to see a mechanic. You go, oh, okay, I'll book in for a week later or something. It's different in Bali in the sense of, if I want something delivered or if I want something repaired or anything, it's pretty much instantaneous. They're pretty much on task. you want something done, it happens within half an hour to an hour. I did notice that restaurants in Australia are getting bigger. Like you go, maybe it's just a lot of places I went to, they're big eating halls now, and they're big sports bars and big dining areas in clubs. It's different now in Australia than I remembered when you'd go down the Chinese restaurant stuff. And I probably wouldn't have noticed that if I wasn't in Bali for a year and went home and I thought, wow, it's just like big eating areas where people don't talk to each other or anything. It's just people shuffling past everywhere and eating. When I go shopping here, I've got the choice of, say, 3 places to shop. The local fruit, veggie and meat markets, the local supermarket, or the international style supermarket. And there's still that competitiveness and prices. It depends on what I want to spend and what's available in those certain spots. There's that competitiveness in it. It's a bit different when I went to Australia. You've only really got 2 places to go, and they control the prices of everything. People are go, fast, rush, throw everything in their trolleys. No one says hello or anything. No one gives the nod. Things are a lot faster in Australia than they are here in Bali. While I was in the Gold Coast at Townsville and Cairns, I said to a lot of people that, geez, it's a lot hotter here than it is in Bali. And they're all giving me the weird look like, what the hell are you talking about? Bali gets really hot. And I started to question myself. Maybe I am wrong, maybe it's not. But when I got back to Bali, I reassessed that decision, and I did. I'm 100% sure Queensland is a lot hotter than it is in Bali. It's a different heat totally. I couldn't stand it, and I too, before I came to Bali, I expected it to be hot in Bali, but it hasn't been too bad. It's a different type of heat. Since I've been back, the rains have started. Deb found out when she was riding a bike to work that she needs a better raincoat. Now I know wet season has started, 1 because the rains have just come, but 2, yesterday my pool guy said to me, this will go for 3 months. So I'm now expecting it to rain for 3 months. While I was organising my repairs at my house, and I also did some gardening and stuff, did some maintenance around the place, I did notice how peaceful suburbs are in Australia. It is a lot quieter. You don't have the dogs, you don't have all the villas being built, you don't have motorbikes going past all the time. Now, in saying all this, Australia is home, and I did enjoy going home. I got to see my family, I got to see my dogs, I got to do things that you can't do in Bali. So in saying that, I guess I need both. I need Australia and Bali to live the way I wish to live. But while I was in Australia, I really wanted to get back to Bali. I do feel more connected and having a happier life in Bali while I am here. And plus I get to see Deb again. Your mindset is better in Bali. I have a minimalist lifestyle in Bali where I spend less and things are costing less. But your mindset is great. You get a better feeling, you have a better connection with people in Bali, and you better sense of community than I think I have in Australia. And overall, that puts me in a happy place. And believe it or not, I feel safer in Bali. I don't feel safe in Australia anymore. I feel like if I look sideways in the car, someone's going to abuse me sometimes. You know, if you upset someone on the road, they're going to yell at you and stuff. I don't like that feeling that some people are crazy in Australia now and get offended real easy, and I don't feel that here in Bali. I think it's a cultural thing. I could be wrong once again. That hasn't happened. It could happen, but I do love just the community feel of being here.
If you found this video entertaining, helpful or inspiring, we'd love for you to consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that notification bell. Subscribing will ensure that you never miss out on any of our future content that we create, especially for you.